Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K channel, and for today's video, I'm not going to tell Andy and Kirk what it is. We're just going to start it, but you at home will have obviously seen what's in the title, so let's go check out today's video. Okay, there we go. So that was Liliac featuring Aiden Fisher on secondary guitar, as there's only a single guitarist in Liliac, played, of course, Metallica's Master of Puppets. Aiden Fisher, I believe, was the guy that played Master of Puppets in The Stranger Things. Not the actor, but actually the person who played it actually for The Stranger Things bit on the last episode of whatever season it was.
Season 4.
There we go. Right, I'm going to go last on this one because I've actually already done commentary on this particular video on the Dave Does channel. But I'm going to throw it to Andy first.
Okay. From the opening few seconds, you could tell it's going to be a very, very accurate and faithful cover of the original song. I mean, even down to, you know, the guitar tuning and the effects and the tone that they were using, which I don't think is a bad thing. You know, we've talked about covers before and think, oh, I'm only interested when people put their own spin on it. I don't think so. You know, if I was a Liliac fan, if I was a Metallic fan, I'd enjoy that, but I didn't enjoy that. Her sort of delivery of the lyrics and the vocals on the first verse seemed as if she was going to put her own sort of spin on it. It did sound sort of slightly different from obviously James Hetfield's version, but then for the subsequent verses and obviously the choruses as well and all the other passages, it was all you know exactly the same, and the musicianship was absolutely note perfect as well. Yeah, can't see anything wrong with that. I love the song, and that was a really, really good version of it. As I say, they didn't put their own spin on it, their own, you know, sort of flavour, but you know, it's a very accurate and faithful rendition to the original. So I'm all for that. Enjoyed it.
Okay, over to you, Kirk.
You don't put your own spin on an 8-minute thrash metal epic, so I agree with Andy. He did the right thing, very faithful to it. The guitar tone was absolutely perfect. You could have been listening to the 1986 opus from Metallica. I think it's worth saying here, in my opinion, Master of Puppets, the Black Album, are two bona fide 10 out of 10 metal albums. Whatever people's opinions are on what they've become, they just hearing a band like that cover it just reminds you how magical and how brilliant that Master of Puppets record is. Really changed music, not just extreme metal. The vocals, I thought is it possible to over-sing a song? I think she did that. She sounded like a cross between Eric Adams from Manowar, and there were some cadences in there that reminded me of one of our favourite contemporary singers, Krista Van Gilder from Benthic Realm.
Yeah.
Really, and I love her voice, Krista's voice, so I'm very much on board with that. When you can cover a song like this, let me use an analogy, Dave. You'll remember this. When you're in sixth form college and there's a group of 17-year-olds who can cover Enter Sandman, or they can do Nothing Else Matters, and then they move on to this. That's when they go up to grade 7, isn't it? In their studies, there's 8 grades, isn't there, in terms of musicianship. This is a cusp of grade 6 and grade 7 because there are so many interlocking parts. It's not overly repetitive, even though obviously it's metal, so the whole ritual of having these repetitive riffs that stick in your head and you can headbang to and throw your fists in the air. That's the whole point of it. I understand that, but they absolutely mastered this. If I was at this concert, I would be caught up in the intoxication of it, and I would be absolutely slamming to this. I would, and listen to the intensity in the audience there. Fucking love this band. It's really I love hearing that. No matter what the music is, when you get an audience reaction like that, I'm just hooked. I'm like, wow. What
the end reaction
we like,
Kirk, but when she's going, hey,
yeah,
hey, that embarrassing moment where there's nothing coming back. But yeah, they're on their feet and gave a rousing applause at the end. But
yeah, actually, I'm surprised that didn't actually electrify the audience.
I'll explain that when I get to my feedback. I'll tell you about that.
Well, Dave, we'll hand over to you. I think that was a sensational cover.
Okay, so just to let you know, so this is a venue that I believe, from feedback I had in a because I raised exactly the same thing about the audience. I was like, I don't get it, what's going on? And the feedback I had about it was it's a local venue that they've used and they've played it several times. It is a table-seated theatre. So all the people in the audience are sat around little tables, like a jazz cafe type setup. So that's why at the end they stood up at the thing, but during it they were sitting in their seats and So it's not a setup like a normal live music venue, but it's because it's their local one and that's kind of their hometown kind of venue. I think they use. So that's the reason behind it. And there's a lot of live footage of theirs where they played that venue, where they kind of, it's almost like that's where they go when they reinvent themselves. They go out and they'll try it all out in that venue to see what works, what doesn't work, and that's how they kind of approach things. Well, I guess we now know what Ronnie James Dio sounds like singing Master of Puppets, because that's quite similar. She's got that kind of James Dio voice, and that's not a bad thing because we haven't got a James Dio anymore. So it's good that she kind of goes down that style with her own little twist on it. Yeah, there were the odd embellishments where she went kind of did her own kind of power, and she does a lot. She does put a lot of vibrato and tremolo in her voice at the end. She loves to power that through. And I think as the band develops, she's going to work out when to do that. I do think she tries to power it too often. So there's almost like every single end of every line, she just kind of tries to power it. But when we saw it on their recent video Carousel, she wasn't doing it as much, and Carousel's much more recent than this was. I think this was maybe a year or two ago when this dropped, so it's a bit of time has passed since Carousel, Carousel's since this one. They're using Kemper profilers, which is explain why you're getting that the Metallica sound, because they can just dial it in. They'll have gone to it and gone, Master of Puppets, guitar setting, Kemper profile, bam, hit a button, bam, they've got the sound of that album ready. And that's why it sounds so good. But I don't remember the last time I watched a live performance of Metallica where it was as tight as that from a live performance. Especially the dual guitar parts.
The dual solo bit was spot on, wasn't it?
Kirk Hammett's always out of bloody key. He's always like buzzing or something like that. It's always, you could always hear the two guitars are slightly a fraction out, and you get this like really harsh tone. Or for when I've seen it. Now, obviously, if you're probably watching it in a concert, watching Metallica, you're not going to notice it. But when you watch it back on a video, you tend to notice it more. I hands down preferred that to watching a Metallica play Master of Puppets, to be honest. Because
would you mean
it sounded better?
You prefer that to watching modern Metallica play Master of Puppets?
Oh yeah, no. When I saw Metallica back in the 90s, oh yeah, hands down, amazing. But there's a big difference to that. I did also like how Melody on vocals, when the solo was going on, stepped to the back and moved to the back. She didn't leave the stage. She sort of sat in the back. She kind of moshed away a little bit, which is a great sign of a vocalist knowing when they need to step to the background. I've seen it before where people are doing solos and the vocalist is there just like getting their water out, drinking, having a look around the stage, scratching their, getting their phone out, checking their emails while they're there, you know. But knowing their stagecraft, and they've done a great job there. I'm not a big fan of you couldn't really hear it much, but if you did listen for the keyboards, I wasn't a fan of the keyboards on the track.
Yeah, early on, I could hear it and it seemed superfluous, and luckily it was quite low in the mix, wasn't it? But
I think on their originals, they're obviously playing.
He could have taken a break, couldn't he? I think. Didn't.
Good take back. Maybe you could learn to play guitar as well, and then you can back up and do some of the rhythm stuff, and let Zach on lead guitar play the lead. But I guess on their originals, they were obviously planning the keyboards to be in, so he had to be part of it. But I don't think it added anything. And when I could hear the keyboards coming through, I wasn't a big fan of what they were doing with the actual track. Apart from that, though, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed that. I really loved that particular cover, and I completely agree with you. You don't want to go and mess around with Master of Puppets. No. You will always be compared to the original, and anything other than playing it in the original style is going to be criticised heavily. So, yeah, no, well done to Liliac and Master of Puppets, of course. And, of course, Aiden Fisher and his part in that as well. So, yeah, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on the video sometime very soon. Take care.